Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the key to all wisdom. So that is my question to you today. How well do you think that you know yourself? Well, you see, it took me a long, long time to start to get to know myself. In fact, it took me probably approximately about 37, 38 years before I really became aware and started to learn about who I really was. Now, most people, in fact, around 95% of the population, and that probably includes you, thinks that they are very self-aware. And we think that we know ourselves very well, when in fact the opposite is in fact true. So my question again is, how well do you think you know yourself, and how aware do you think that you are? Okay, so we have, you see, my name is Danielle Serpico, and you may or may not know that I used to be very much into martial arts. I still am. And whereas before I was very much into martial arts for the physical, I'm a black belt and I'm a European champion. Now I'm more into becoming the black belt of my mind and helping you to become the black belt of your mind. Now, the first step to that, to becoming a black belt, whether it's in a physical situation or in a mental situation, is by being aware. Often we are so unaware of what is going on around us, even when we think we know it all. Okay, because you see, we are completely ruled and programmed by certain psychological biases. There are hundreds of them ruling your behavior and taking control of your programming and how you act, how you think, how you make decisions, and how you react and how you feel. Okay, so what would awareness do for you? What might knowing yourself and knowing how these biases um, cause you to behave, what might that do for you? So there was a time in my life, as I said, that I was didn't know myself, and I was very, very reactive, because there's a big difference between reacting and thinking and using your brain. Okay, I used to react because of past programming. I would, if somebody behaved a certain way towards me, gave me a certain look, spoke in a certain tone of voice, used a certain word, did a certain thing, I would simply react. And my reaction, maybe it's different to yours, I'm not sure, maybe there's a lot of similarities. I might, for example, go into a state of moving myself away from that pain. I might start to retract. I might start to move away from that person, or I might get angry. Okay, and I might react that way. I might be more reactive and get angry at the comment or the word or the certain look that that person gave me. Okay, or I would be very hurt and very upset, and I would get really sad about it. It would take up all my thoughts, and I would spend hours, if not days, if not weeks, if not months or years, replaying those sentences that that person had said to me. Now, have you ever done that? Have you ever found yourself replaying certain sentences that somebody has said to you? And have you ever wondered why it got to you so much? Why did you let that bother you so much? In fact, you may have even said something such as, why am I letting that bother me? And maybe when you spoke to a friend, your friend said, why are you letting it bothering you so much? Okay. The reason is quite simple, really, that very possibly you were affected by something earlier on in your life. Maybe it was something that a parent said, maybe it was something that was said to you in the playground when you were very, very small, and you were affected by this. And when you hear anything that is similar to that, okay, it causes you to have the similar reaction. In psychological terms, we would call that a trigger. And yeah, in NLP terms is what one of the things that I teach, which is neuro-linguistic programming, we would call that an anchor. So it's an association. So with a past event that caused you hurt, pain, upset. And when you hear or feel or sense something similar to it, you would have the same reaction. Okay. Now, why is that important for us to know? Okay, why is that relevant for you right now? How can that be helpful for you? Maybe you're feeling upset about something. Maybe there is something that your best friend said to you, or a teacher said, or a friend, or a partner, or a boyfriend, or a girlfriend, or your parents, or anybody at all said something to you, and they said it in a particular tone of voice that just really, really got to you. Okay. And you just really just couldn't shake it off. You couldn't get it out of your head, and it kept on going around and playing around and playing around. Now, in the following video, I'm going to be talking about a lot about words, and I'll be talking about that voice inside your head. But for now, I just wanted you simply to become aware of why we sometimes react a certain way. Sometimes it's not what's actually happening in the moment. It's something that happened a week before, a month before, maybe 10 years previously that is triggering you. And that is good to know. So one of the things that I discovered was when I was being triggered, when I had this compulsion to react a certain way, and maybe you react through anger, or maybe you react by retracting away from the pain and moving yourself away and hiding yourself and keeping your feelings bottled up and not sharing it with anybody. So that was mostly the way I used to go. It is good to know this because now I can tell in advance that, okay, certain things are going to trigger me. And what I can do when I feel that trigger coming on, when I feel that response that is conditioned, it's a conditioned response, it's a programmed response, I can choose to react differently. And one simple little trick that I'm going to teach you now, which is really, really simple, really, really easy, and it is extremely effective, is simply this. Think about the situations that cause you to feel triggered. Think about the situations that cause you to feel upset or anger or frustration or hurt or lonely or sadness, whatever the unhelpful negative emotion might be. Now, think of the context and when this happens. Is it a particular way that somebody says something? Is it a tone of voice? Is it when they kind of feel that they're patronizing you? Is it when they're being sarcastic? Is it when they're being dismissive? I mean, that was a big trigger for me. To feel dismissed used to be a really, really big trigger. So notice the trigger. Notice the way the person is speaking to you. Is it a tilt in the head? Is it a look? Is it a gesture? What is it that's causing you to have that trigger? Now, what I want you to do, what I suggest that you do, is you practice this in advance. And if you want to pause this video to practice what I'm going to tell you in a moment, then you can do so and have a go of this. The steps are as follows, a really simple exercise. Think now of a situation where you have a reaction that is not helpful to you, that you would like to change, such as feeling sad, such as feeling angry, such as feeling hurt, such as wanting to lash out, whatever the reaction might be. And think about the trigger and the situation in which this might happen, as in what I was saying, as in what actually the person does to set you off. Now, I want you to just imagine that situation. But before you start in your imagination to react the way you used to react, I want you to simply do this in your mind's eye. Just simply do this. Okay? Count backwards from 3 and go, as you breathe in through your nose, go 3, 2, 1 as you breathe in. Inside your head, say 3, 2, 1 as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, say let go inside your head. So 3, 2, 1, let go. Okay? So you're going to let go of the old behavior. And what I want you to do is simply replace it with a better behavior. But you've got to plan this in advance. So I want you to think about the way that you would like to react instead. Think about what would be a more beneficial way for you to react. Would you like to just stay calm? Would you like to stay feeling good about yourself? Would you like the comment or whatever the person said to just, not bother you at all and you just feel fine? Think about the way you would like to feel instead and imagine yourself feeling like that. So in your imagination right now, simply visualize the scenario. Imagine the person saying the thing that normally sparks you off. Say 3, 2, 1, let go, and then imagine yourself reacting and behaving in the new way that you want to behave. Now, I suggest that you do that at least 3 or 4 or 5 times very, very fast, okay? And the more you repeat that, the more this is going to ingrain a new program inside your mind so that when and if that situation or similar situation occurs again, you are going to have that new beneficial state coming up and popping up into your head and helping you to react and behave in that way. Now, I hope that makes sense. Now, the reason why this works is because our brain is simply all programmed. We are simply run by programs, as I was saying. And being self-aware and learning about self-awareness teaches us these skills. Think about it. I mean, if you don't know what you don't know, that's a little bit of a trick question. How can you know what to do about it? Okay, let me ask you again. If you don't know what you don't know, how can you know what to do about it? You can't, can you? Because you don't know what you don't know. So the first step in your journey to having a better life, to feeling better about yourself, to having more success, to having more love and happiness and feeling really good about yourself, okay, is to learn and discover what you don't know. You don't know. Okay. Once you know what you don't know, okay, then you can actually start to learn what you don't know. But if you don't even know what you don't know, there's nothing you can do about it. So what is the first step in becoming aware of what you don't know? You don't know. It is loving, loving, loving being wrong. Okay. As I like to say, it's oh so right to be wrong. Okay. The more you want to prove yourself wrong, guess what happens? And I know that sounds really weird. Okay. Because in fact, most of us, in fact, all of us, we love to be right. We love it. We love to be right. And the reason being is because it's one of our psychological programs. It's a psychological bias and it keeps us in what we call, in psychological terms, a blind spot. Okay, so we say something. So think about it this way. Maybe you've had a situation where you have been upset about something. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your teacher, your parent has said something to you in a certain way. And you go off and you get on your phone and you're talking to your best buddy and you say, you know, he or she always does this, always does that, always treats me this way. Okay, doesn't care, does this, treats me badly, is rude, is whatever. And you're saying that to your friend. Now you meet up with your friend and guess what you do next? You go and you tell them what happened last night. Do you know what? Wait till I tell you. She did it again. He did it again. I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to be like that. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you that's just the way they are? Okay. Have you done that before? I would hazard a guess that you have. Because I have. And the reason we both have done this is because it's a psychological term, psychological bias called confirmation bias, which means very simply that we love to prove ourselves right. We love to say, I told you so. We love to say, I knew it. I knew that was going to happen. We love to do that. So unfortunately, that can work to our benefit. And I'll be telling you more about that in an upcoming video, but it can also work to our detriment. It can also work very unbeneficially for us because we say something that is not good for us, such as, I know I could never do well in my exams. I know I'll never be happy. I know I'll always be lonely. And I know I'm always going to be alone. I know no one's going to love me. I know I'm always going to be a failure. Blah, 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 blah. We say all these things and I've done it all myself. And then what happens is we want to prove ourselves right. Okay. So we're looking for evidence. That's how our brain works. Our brain wants to please us. So what it does is we'll continue and continue to search for proof and evidence to make us happy. So it thinks to prove that we are right. Okay. So I hope that's useful for you because I want you to really think about that, how you can put that to use. Because the more you say negative things, such as I'm never going to be able to do such and such, the more it's going to continue to keep wanting to help you It thinks it's trying to please you, okay? And it'll continue to look for evidence to prove you're right. So think about it, because in the next video, we'll be talking about how you can use it to your benefit in the opposite way, right? Okay, you're starting to understand that. So for this video, basically, I want you to understand and become aware that there is a big difference between self-aware and self-absorbed. Okay, now that might sound a little bit harsh in the sense that we sometimes tend to be very self-absorbed. And that doesn't mean that we're bad people. That means that we can be extremely kind, wonderful, loving, smart, intelligent, beautiful people. Okay, but we're so wrapped up in our own feelings that we forget to be self-aware. We forget to be self-aware. So we're so self-absorbed in our emotions that we actually miss the big picture, that we're actually in this huge blind spot that we're not even noticing our own wonderful qualities. Okay, we forget to notice, and we don't notice because we're so busy convincing ourselves that we're right. So for many years, I spent my life thinking and convincing myself that I was unlovable, that I was unworthy, that I was a failure, that I was silly, that I was stupid, that I was ugly, that I would always be alone, that I would always be miserable, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I was being self-absorbed. I was so absorbed in my own emotions that I was not seeing the big picture, and I was missing out on the truth. I was missing out on real life because I was so absorbed in these lies. I was so absorbed in this way of thinking and convincing myself that I'm right. Okay, so I'm challenging you now. I'm challenging you now, right now. If you're thinking to yourself, yeah, but it's easy for her to say, yeah, but it's different for me. If you're sitting there watching this video and you're thinking, but I am this, I am alone, I am not good enough, I am not worthy, I'm unlovable. If you're thinking that, I want you to challenge that belief, because all you're doing is convincing yourself that you're right because of a psychological program that's going on. Okay, so being self-aware is about being aware of those programs and doing something different with them. Okay, so you don't have to believe everything you think. Okay, most of what we think is simply an illusion. And if you're going to think, you might as well use it to your benefit and think of something really smart, like how amazing you can be and how amazing your life can be. And now your brain is going to do everything in its power to help you and convince you that you're right about that. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you and that you've enjoyed this video. And on the next video, we're going to go further into this and explore how we can actually put this to wonderful use with some great techniques and make it really work for you. Thank you, and see you very soon. Dream big.